Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, December 18, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please utilize the progress bar at the bottom of the video as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the video description but in the comment section so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most. There's no need for you to be sitting here watching this 30 to 50 minute video if you have other things to do, so please utilize these tools. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the that's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook from the US Climate Prediction Center. And we're going to be looking at the time period from December 25 to December 31, as well as the time period from January 1 to January 7. So for reference, we have the Atlantic right over here, and we see it over here as well. But what do we see, especially where we have Jamaica? Jamaica is right here. We see that there is going to be some amount of greens. And what do the greens actually represent, especially across the southern or southwestern Caribbean? We see the darker shades of greens. Jamaica getting in on a bit of the greens, the slighter shades, and we see that it all represents above average rainfall. So a 50% chance of above average rainfall between December 25 to December 31. And I guess less rainfall or no rainfall at all, average rainfall from January 1 to January 7. And we see that the Southern Caribbean into Northern South America is going to be very wet for that time period as well. So very interesting. Either way, we know that whatever the US Climate Prediction Center usually posts isn't set in stone. So we have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. Either way, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with exactly what occurs. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 168 hours are showing on the Euro as well as the GFS supercomputer models. So keep your eyes focused right here at the timestamp at the top and around the Caribbean right here. We're going to be focusing our attention right here across Jamaica. Let us see what the next 7 days hold. We're looking for all of this that we see on the key on the right. The greens that represents up to 1 to 5 inches of rainfall. The yellows into the oranges and the reds that represents 6 to all the way up to 20 inches of rainfall. So let us see what's going to be happening. Alright, so we see that as we head into Thursday, definitely less rainfall, but we can't rule out maybe an isolated afternoon pop-up shower again across inland areas of some central western parishes. Friday we see less rainfall again, but something similar, maybe some isolated afternoon showers again. Saturday we see that we're starting to get back into that pattern of rainfall across northern parishes. Sunday something similar. And then as we head into Monday, look at the increase in moisture across the southwestern Caribbean to the south of Jamaica to the south of Hispaniola. We see the dark greens into the yellows that represent 1 to 5 all the way to maybe 6, maybe even 7 inches of rainfall. That's actually crazy for the latter part of December and the mid to latter part of December for sure. Even as we head into Tuesday, we see a lot of rainfall to the south of us, and we're going to be stopping it right there at the 168 hour mark, just like what the US National Hurricane Center would do the next 7 days. So this is valid for 12Z on Wednesday, December 25. So this is 7 a.m. and we can see all of the moisture, especially to the south of Jamaica. We see the dark greens, the yellows. That's a lot of rainfall for sure, especially to the west of us. We can also see some moisture across the Dominican Republic and areas to the east of there. Let us see what the latest GFS is showing. So we just looked at the Euro that just came out at about 3:30 p.m. today. Now we're looking at the GFS that just came out about an hour ago. So we see that as we head into Thursday, yes, there's going to be some amount of isolated afternoon rainfall. Friday, definitely less rainfall for sure. We see that there's going to be an increase in moisture to the south of us for sure. Heading into Saturday, definitely less rainfall, more of another flow with that moisture across northern Jamaica. But look at that, as we head into Sunday and Monday, a lot of rainfall starting to gather to the south of us. Very interesting. Some of this moisture could even make it as far as spilling into Jamaica for sure, but we see that the moisture is definitely confined to northern Jamaica, so that indicates more of a northeasterly flow. And we're going to be seeing even more rainfall to the south of us on Wednesday. Look at that. Wednesday into, all right, there we go. So we're stopping it right there at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for ATNZ, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday, December 25. That's Christmas Day. And what do we see on both the Euro and the GFS models? A lot of moisture to the south of Jamaica. The Euro a bit more robust, showing the yellows into the oranges that represent 6 to maybe 8 inches of rainfall. The GFS showing a lot of dark greens here and there, especially to the south of us throughout the time period on Wednesday. Very interesting forecast. Either way, there's going to be a lot of rainfall in the forecast, especially to the south of Jamaica. And we have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt, because we know what the Euro and the GFS models usually show isn't set in stone. So we have to take this one day at a time and stay updated with the latest forecast. Either way, both Euro and the GFS supercomputer model accumulated precipitation forecast are in consensus that there's going to be an increase in rainfall. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until December 25. And we can see that the most rainfall, as we know, is represented by the dark reds. That's the 2 inches of rainfall. The purples into the pinks, that's 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. Into the peach colors, that's 6 to 8 inches of rainfall, are definitely expected across the Belize area, Central America, northeastern Guatemala, sections of northern Honduras, spilling into sections of eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, western Venezuela. We see a lot of this moisture, especially to the south of Hispaniola, spilling into the Dominican Republic right here. This is where the most moisture is predicted to be. We also see a lot of moisture across the eastern Caribbean, a lot of moisture across the waters to the east of the Bahamas. Let us see what the latest accumulated precipitation from the GFS is showing. Something similar, not so much like what we see here to the east of the Bahamas, but there's going to be a lot of rainfall. We see the dark reds, 3 inches of rainfall. We see the rainfall across the Dominican Republic. We also see the rainfall across portions of the eastern Caribbean. We're talking about maybe Guadeloupe, Dominica, section of Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. Section of Jamaica, according to the GFS, is showing some rainfall. We're going to be looking at the close-up shortly, but clearly we see that there's going to be a lot of rainfall for section of Belize, northwestern Honduras, section of eastern Honduras, eastern Nicaragua, sections of Costa Rica, Panama, as well as Colombia. And if we take a look at the close-up of Jamaica regarding these rainfall accumulated precipitation forecasts, we see that they are still adamant that the most in the way of rainfall should still be plaguing northeastern Jamaica. We're talking about anywhere from St. Ann East, or St. Ann, St. Mary, Portland for sure. We even see the yellows into the oranges and the pinks that represent anywhere from 30 all the way up to maybe close to 100 millimeters of rainfall in the Euro. And the GFS is showing even more rainfall for that time period. We see, especially by the end of the next 7 days. And even to the south of us, do you see that? The waters to the south of us are starting to pick up on a lot of rainfall too, just to indicate that there's going to be a lot of moisture increasing at the end of the next 7 days for sure. But clearly in terms of on land rainfall, it's going to be confined to more so the northeast, maybe even spilling into sections of St. Thomas, maybe section of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine. Very interesting forecast. This is according to the GFS Euro, a bit more confined to northeastern parishes. Either way, whatever happened, I will definitely be here to keep you posted. If we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we have a ridge of high pressure up here that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can also see some broken orange lines right here to the northeast of the Bahamas associated with a trough. And we see another frontal system right here, stretching all the way from the northeastern section of North Atlantic all the way down to the northeast of the Eastern Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of these entities. The clouds associated with the trough, the clouds associated with that frontal system stretching all the way down right here. And we can see the low level flow of the clouds pushing from east to west across the main development region in the Caribbean. We can also make out that upper level flow pushing those high cirrus clouds off towards the east. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, December 18, 2024. It was stated that rain was in the forecast for sections of eastern Jamaica tonight, that was last night, into, also affecting sections of some central and western parishes during Wednesday afternoon. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? We saw it even last night in the video that was posted, that we're already getting in on some amount of rainfall coming into section of eastern Jamaica. And we saw most of it to our east, but as the night progressed, a post was made on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica at around 9:20 p.m. highlighting the Cuban Doppler radar images. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can definitely see that the Cuban Doppler radar images were showing some greens into the yellow colors that represents moderate, that's moderado, moderate rainfall, to even fuerte, that's some stronger heavy rainfall coming in from the east into sections of eastern St. Thomas, eastern Portland. And we also saw that rainfall exiting the coast of St. Elizabeth at that time. And then on Wednesday afternoon, we saw what took place. The visible satellite images were posted at around 4:35 p.m. and they highlighted that low level flow of the clouds coming in from the east. And then we got in on some amount of isolated afternoon thunder shower activity, especially across inland areas of some central and western parishes. So, we're talking about northern St. Andrew, excuse me, northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, sections of southern Trelawney, northern St. Elizabeth, southern St. James, sections of maybe inland areas of Hanover, as well as Westmoreland too. And we can see it all even better on the visible satellite images of Jamaica. This close up right here before we lost the sunlight. You can even make out the high cloud toss being sheared off towards the east northeast, just as we predicted. And we can see the cumulonimbus clouds, or the cirrus clouds, being pushed off towards the east northeast even better on the infrared close-up satellite images. This map right here is showing the high cold cloud tops being pushed off towards the east northeast, just as we stated. And we even see the thunderstorms affecting, as predicted, inland areas of some central and western parishes for sure. Wherever we have those sparkling white dots, that's where we're having some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And if we take a look at the crossroads cam at around 3:36 p.m, we saw that we're definitely getting on some amount of overcast skies, especially across the hills of northern St. Andrew right there. We can even see some of the fog pushing from west to east if you look closely. But we see that most of these clouds up here definitely stable and sitting on top of the hills for sure. Don't see much in the way of rainfall at all. Definitely see that it was mainly overcast at around 3:36 p.m. this afternoon, though, across the corporate area. But that was basically it. Didn't pick up on much in the way of rainfall at all. And we see that the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the CIMH, that's the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, does confirm where we had that rainfall. Definitely wherever we have these colors, that's where we had that rainfall across inland areas of some central parishes as well as sections of some western parishes too. So this map definitely paints a picture of where we had that rainfall today. And we have at least one comment here from one of our subscribers on our YouTube page, basically confirming the rainfall that took place last night based on the post that was made highlighting the Cuban Doppler radar. We have Sharon Johnson right here, Sharon Johnson 2041, taking rain Santa Cruz area, and we see that rainfall exiting the St. Elizabeth coastline at that time, just to confirm what was predicted. And if we take a look at the very latest still image from the Weather Nerd side, let us see what's happening right now. We can see the latest image just came out at 23:45 UTC, so that's around 6:45 p.m. So that just came out about 14 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:59 p.m. right now. And where do we see the clouds across the island as we speak? Well, we can see some dots of whitish looking clouds across southern Trelawney, maybe southern St. James. You can also see a burst of something right there off the coast of St. Elizabeth. Let us see if we can match this to what we're seeing on the latest Doppler radar imagery. So let's reload this so that we have the very latest. And the very latest Doppler radar image just came out at 6:50 p.m. And what do we see? So this just came out, what, 9 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:59 p.m. now. 6:59 p.m. now. So what do we see? Well, I'm sure that you guys can see some greens into the yellows across northern into eastern Jamaica, maybe even reds there. But don't be fooled, that's just ground clutter. That's a glitch on the Cuban Doppler radar. This is why we need the Jamaican Doppler radar to show us the actual rainfall. But we can actually make out that rainfall right there off the coast of St. Elizabeth, the green into the yellows. Usually what we see across the sea isn't actually ground clutter, that's actual rainfall. And we can match the cloud, the speck of cloud right here of the coast of St. Elizabeth, west of there, to this Doppler radar image that's showing the actual rainfall. So that's some moderate to heavy rainfall. If there are fishermen out at sea, they're definitely getting in on some amount of rainfall as we speak. If we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery, what do we see? We don't see much happening in and around Jamaica or Haiti, but we do see some rainfall across sections of eastern Cuba to the north of Guantanamo for sure. Taking a look at the Cayman radar, let us reload this so that we have the very latest to show. Alright, so what do we see on the Cayman radar? Alright, we can make out that rainfall off the coast of St. Elizabeth. Not seeing much in and around the Cayman Islands or Cuba at all. Taking a look at the latest from halfway tree, what's happening right now across the halfway tree. Don't see much happening. We see people in their vehicles going about their business. We can also see people walking along going about their business. Whoever is on a night shift going to work. Whoever is done with work going home. Hopefully everybody gets home safely. Either way, it looks like it's going to be a fair night tonight for sure. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, you can visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure for free. Just go on YouTube, type in Halfway Tree Live or Crossroads Live or See Jamaica, and you will see their channel, you will see their live stream right there for you to view. They also have Flatbridge, they also have Barbican, as well as the Kingston Harbor, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Alright, if we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Thursday. When calculated, that's about 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight orange colors that represent up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of December across Jamaica. If we take a look right here at this bar graph, the normal temperatures are around 87 degrees Fahrenheit. And when 87 degrees Fahrenheit is converted to degrees Celsius that we use in Jamaica, that's about 30.6 degrees Celsius. So given that the temperature forecast is showing up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal for Thursday, we're expecting anywhere from 30 to 32 degrees Celsius at most. Fortunately, the temperatures are not going to be exacerbated if we have power outages to, prevent us from being cool from, the fan breeze or the AC. Because according to my GPS online, for the past week, we haven't been getting in on much updates regarding any scheduled outages. So if they aren't scheduled and you encounter a power outage, you know that maybe some madman crashed into a light post or whatever the case may be, and maybe that's an emergency, something that you might have to report to JPS for them to know that, oh, there's a power outage for your area for real, because you know that they usually don't have these outages unless they are announced. If we take a look at some tips here to beat the heat, so 30 to 32 degrees Celsius for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday is a bit too hot, so we're gonna have to try our best to beat the heat with these tips. And as usual, if you're going out, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. It states here, limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to stay hydrated. Drink lots of water throughout the day, even if you're not thirsty. Put away those sugary drinks. Drink water instead. If we take a look at the dry air map, we know the dry air is represented by what we see on the key on the bottom right here. That is the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we see a lot of dry air across the eastern main development region, across the northern portion of North Atlantic, into right here, the northern, into the northern Caribbean, into the Gulf of Mexico, even the southern Caribbean, as well as the eastern Pacific. Lots of dry air there. But where we have the blues, that's where we have the most moist air across section of the main development region, the eastern Caribbean, the Dominican Republic, section of Jamaica, into the western Caribbean. And it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. We even see some moist air right here into the Bahamas. And we know wherever we have the moist air, that's where we have the rainfall. We see the rainfall across the western Caribbean, the eastern Caribbean, the northern portions of Hispaniola for sure. That's where we have the most moist air. So wherever we have the most moist air, that's where we have the most rainfall. If we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, not looking good at all. We're seeing more dark shades of browns across the eastern main development region. That's that plume that we don't want to see. That's that plume that can cause very hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons. So it's going to be definitely affecting the Cabo Verde Islands for sure. And we know there's a ridge of high pressure somewhere up here that's responsible for sending this from east to west. Our only hope is that the more west it goes, the more it dwindles, the more it turns into this, the light shades of browns. Because we know we don't even notice these light shades of browns at all. Either way, for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we see that North America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, much of South America and Central America are going to be in the clear. But we see some of these slight shades of brown starting to come into sections of northeastern South America, maybe sections of French Guiana, Suriname, and all the way down into portions of Brazil for sure. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, the wave forecast maps are still adamant that the most or the highest wave should be located to the north of Hispaniola, to the north of Puerto Rico, to the east of the eastern Caribbean islands. That's where we have the purples. That's where we see the 2 to maybe 3, maybe even 4 meter wave heights for sure. But 3.1 right there to the north of Puerto Rico. But we see more light shades of blues to dark shades of blues stretching from the western to the eastern Caribbean right here. That wind represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 2 meter wave heights. Right here across the waters to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula, 0.7 of a meter wave height. Right here to the north of Jamaica, 0.7 of a meter wave height. To the south of Jamaica, 1.1 meter wave height right there. And that's because the winds are expected to be coming out of the east for the most part across the Caribbean. We see the bright greens into the slight yellows that represent what, 16, maybe 19 knots right there to the south of Haiti. Right here to the south of Jamaica, 9 knots. We're seeing more blues around the island, so less wind. Let's see what's happening to the north of us. 5 knot wind across the waters to the east of the Yucatan. 11 knot winds from the northeast. But we see for the most part across the northwestern Caribbean, northeasterly winds. Across the Gulf of Mexico, northeasterly winds. Across the waters to the north of Hispaniola, east-southeasterly winds. Across the waters from the eastern Caribbean to the central Caribbean, easterly winds curving southward into the southwestern Caribbean. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding these winds, we see that the winds are not going to be that strong at all. As stated, more light shades, well, blues into light shades of green. So that's 5 knots on the north coast, 10 knots on the south coast, especially far out, 13 knots to the south of St. Thomas. Either way, we see that we have the least amount of winds across inland areas of some central and western parishes. So that you know where we're going to be having the air piling up. That you know where we're going to be having the low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds. And with the upper-level winds coming in from the southwest still tomorrow, we might have some of these high cold clouds being sheared off towards the northeast again, just like what we saw in this infrared satellite image. When we had the thunderstorms across inland areas of some central and western parishes, we saw the high cold clouds being pushed out towards the northeast or the east-northeast. So we might just have some more of that if we get some more thunderstorms on Thursday. During the afternoon, we have that diurnal convection, that daytime heating rainfall. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, not seeing much for tonight across Jamaica, not seeing much for tomorrow morning, but where we actually see the consensus for rainfall on both the Euro and the GFS malls are across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. And this is valid for 4 p.m. on both the Euro as well as the GFS supercomputer malls. Very interesting. We also see some rainfall right there out to the sea, to the east of the island. So very interesting forecast. We'll see if it actually verifies with that afternoon rainfall at around 4 p.m. Whatever happens, I'll definitely be posting something on the other social media platforms a little after 4 to see what's happening. And we also see the accumulated precipitation forecast from the Euro and the GFS malls, showing that there's going to be some rainfall somewhere across Jamaica within the next 24 hours. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. So 3Z on Friday is actually 10 p.m. when calculated. And we see some rainfall right there across section of Kingston and St. Andrew up to 0.29 of an inch of rainfall being the total. The GFS up to 0.19 of an inch of rainfall. And we notice it's the same spot across maybe Kingston and St. Andrew. Very interesting. And clearly we see some rainfall off to the east of the island too. Either way, we're in December. We're in one of the driest months of the year. We're in the first month of our dry season. And usually in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to 25 millimeters of rainfall. That's around 1 inch of rainfall. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive close to 4 inches of rainfall. That's about 90 millimeters of rainfall. So clearly Montego Bay usually receives more rainfall than Kingston. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of December or for the year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters that we receive on the rain gauge. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have a lot of moisture affecting portion of the Dominican Republic as we speak. Lots of thunderstorms over there. We can also see some rainfall affecting sections of Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, section of Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, the Yucatan Peninsula. We can also see some thunderstorms across sections of the waters of the Gulf of Mexico to the east of Florida right there. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, what's happening over there? We can make out some rainfall across eastern Dominican Republic to the south of Puerto Rico. Some rainfall across the Leeward Islands in and around the ear. We see the greens into the yellows. That represents some amount of light and moderate to some slightly heavy rainfall. But if we load these images from earlier today, excuse me, we can see a huge band of heavy rainfall exiting the western coast of Puerto Rico. Some rainfall across section of eastern and central Puerto Rico, pushing from east to west. Some rainfall across the Dominican Republic. Some rainfall across Antigua and Barbuda, in and around the area. That was earlier today up to this point. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out some rainfall affecting sections of southern Dominica. Some rainfall hit or miss isolated shores across Martinique. The same for section of St. Lucia. Some moderate to heavy rainfall affecting section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as we speak. So too sections of Grenada, Tobago getting nailed as we speak. We see a lot of rainfall coming in from the east, moderate to heavy at that. But not seeing much right now across Trinidad. But we do see some rain bands to the east of there that could affect the island later on. If we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall across sections of northern portions of the Bahamas, sections of the Yucatan Peninsula, sections of Belize. You can also make out some rainfall across sections of Colombia. And if we take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. And we can see the rainfall across sections of Florida, the Bahamas, all the way into Turks and Caicos, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, sections of southern, northern, and western Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua, northern Honduras, northern Guatemala, majority of Belize, the eastern Yucatan Peninsula. And if you look at the Euro, we see that both the Euro as well as the GFS supercomputer models are showing something similar. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.